questions in a minute, but what I'd like the board to do really quickly is just raise your hands, the board of EastPAC. And I want to explain that we are a volunteer organization. Our mission is to represent the public safety and quality of life of people that live, work, and go to school in the East Precinct. So we work really hard to kind of get people's input and opinions. We have these meetings once a month. We have the captain and the officer lieutenant and other people here and that can listen to some of the concerns that you have. And we try to make a better way to get the solutions and the resolution that you want. So I just want to make it a point, we're volunteers. We're not officially associated with the police department or the city attorney's office. We're just citizens. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with quick introductions. If you could say quickly your name and who you're with, because there's a lot of people here, and then we'll come to the front table. So we'll start with Vicky. Let's go around the table and then we'll kind of go back and forth and then we'll come back up here.
I'm Vicky Beach. I'm EastPAC board member and I own a house on Barkley Court that I cannot live in right now because they went.
My name's Carol, and I'm a resident of the Jefferson, actually, Jefferson.
Nancy, I live in the Central District, and I write to the stranger.
My name is Waid. I'm from Waid.
Could you speak up? So, yeah, everybody. Okay.
Jim Erickson from the First Hill Improvement Association.
Solon McCurdy, Director of External Affairs at Seattle University.
Sheen Nguyen, my family owns property nearby.
Ryan Joy, I'm a resident of Jefferson.
Gina Luna, I'm with Capitol Hill Times.
And then we'll go toward the back. Go ahead.
I lived in the CD all my life. Robert Redwine, entertainment producer, entertainer, school teacher, concerned citizen.
I'm Joanna Cullen. I'm a member of the EastPAC board. I'm chair of Squire Park Community Council. I've lived here for 35 years or so.
My name is Randy Sater, and I'm with Seattle K-Row Skilled Nursing Facility, NICA Concerns on 16th and Yesler.
And I'm Ibtisam Davis. I'm also from NICA Concerns.
My name is Rick Takiuski, also from the NICA Concerns.
Dwayne Blake, case of the Caribbean employee.
I'm Emily. I'm here as an independent
Just
citizen.
speak up so you can.
My name is Emily. I'm here as an independent citizen.
Naomi, at various times I've been both a student, resident, and I've also been employed here.
Alex West, I'm a recent Seattle U law school grad.
I'm Eric Bond, the chef and owner of Babar.
Residents, nameless.
My name is Jade. I'm a resident at the Jefferson apartment.
I'm Shelly. I own the Wild Rose in Capitol Hill.
Guys in the back.
Officer Radford, Seattle Police Department.
I'm Jerry Allison with the East Precinct Community Police Team.
Neil, 16th and Fur. Neil, 16th and Fur, Central District.
Omari Tahir, founder of the African American Heritage Museum and an heir to the Liberty Bank at 24th and Union, and a former owner of the Black and Time, which was the nightclub on 12th and Jackson, that when we opened it and I got control of it, we named it the Emerald Star. And we had tremendous problems with the Washington State Liquor Board, denying us even a banquet license, and we had never been in the business of a nightclub. We ended up with the nightclub because we was working on it, and the guy that was supposed to be owning it never paid his lease.
So we're going to have some time for comments in a little bit, but I just want to get through the introductions so everybody can take a chance.
Gary Worker, Peter Frericks-Worth, Cairo TV.
Carolyn Walden, 24th and Union.
Randy Bollier, Seattle Public Schools, Central Seattle Drug-Free Communities Coalition.
Vince Ferraro, Jefferson Community Council, and, coordinator.
Dan Sanchez, EastPAC board member. I'm here representing the Madrona Community Council.
Diane Snell, West Shore Community Council Chair.
Dominique Mariansky, Assistant Director of Operations, Seattle University Public Safety.
David Stitt, officer with the Liquor Control Board.
Lieutenant Brian Brennan, I'm the Operations Lieutenant for the East Precinct.
And before we get to, I'd like to welcome our new captain, Captain Pierre Davis, who just started a couple weeks ago. So before you start, I want to take a side track for a second. As you see, there's press here. During the meeting, anything that you might want to keep confidential, you're uncomfortable saying, feel free to write it down and give it to us after the meeting, or come up, or write it, I'm sorry, just blanked out, I'm sorry. Or, talk to one of us. So just wanted to notify you of that.
I know this gentleman have a personal camera. I don't want my face in his, camera.
Okay. Well,
I can avoid you, ma'am, don't worry about it.
No,
if you're uncomfortable with it,
yeah, I'm
you
good.
don't have to, you could talk to us confidentially.
Okay.
I know. Okay, sorry. Okay, so with that, do you want to say a few words?
Well, thank you for having me, everybody. I am the new commander of the East Precinct, and it's a joy to be here. There's so many of you. It's great. Obviously, you're very passionate about what's going on in your neighborhoods, and I'm eager to hear about how we can work together as a community and police together in a partnership. So go ahead and let us have it. We're here to listen to your concerns. I've got about 29 years, closing on 30 years with the Seattle Police Department. My former place of work was the Southwest Precinct. I was the operations commander there, and I know a lot of pretty much things that are happening in each and every community. I have friends and family that work in the East Precinct, and a lot of these things are very near and dear to my heart. I know that we want to make the community a lot better for everybody, not just for a certain segment of folks. But it takes a little bit of partnership to do that. So I'm really eager to listen. I have my officers in the back as well as Lieutenant Brennan here. We're going to be taking copious notes and seeing how we can get to yes. But, like I said, it's going to take an effort on everybody's part to form a true partnership. So I'm happy to be here, and let's get the party started. Let's see what's going on here.
Thank you.
I'm Matthew York with City Attorney.
Yes, I do.
Running City of Seattle Nightlife Premises Coordinator.
Okay, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, and I already said it myself. So, with that said, we have on our agenda a discussion about the nightclubs rates. That there are some different concerns, different interests, and we're going to talk about that and let you know where the proceedings are at and where the process is. We'll have a few minutes afterwards for you to ask questions of the experts that are here, and then we'll move into our regular community concerns, which are really important that we do too. So, and one thing I'd like to say, because we have a good number of people here, I'd like you to keep your comments to a minute, and I'd like you to also let everyone that wants to speak once before you speak twice, and please don't interrupt other people. So those are some ground rules that we try to follow so that we can get through everyone here. So with that, we're going to start with Bill Reddy.
So what would you like to know?
About the noise, you were going to talk a little bit about the noise ordinance.
So the way the noise ordinance works for the City of Seattle is if you look at Google it, it's 2508-501. And essentially it says that there's got to be an exceeding of 65 decibels on the C-weighted scale plus 1 over ambient. So what it basically means is there's got to be something like 65 decibels on the C-weighted scale for such that we can actually cite. So far, what we've found is that Waid's has the noisiest evenings on Wednesdays and Sundays. I have a small team. I have myself and 2 others. Logistically, we have to cover the whole city. Logistically, we also have a very small period of time. We have from basically 10 o'clock at night when the ordinance kicks in to essentially the time when the clubs close. So, and if you take it that a noise complaint also takes anywhere from between half an hour to more than an hour to be able to get one noise complaint measured properly. There's a whole kind of sequence of measuring requirements that's required under proper measurement taking, for want of a better term. So we do that. So once we do it once, that gets us to the point where a citation warning kicks in, and that's good for 365 days. Then we have to receive another complaint, because all of it's complaint driven. When we receive the next complaint, that's one that, so long as it kicks over 65 decibels on the seat weighted scale, then we can actually issue a citation, meaning an actual $1,000 citation, which is what the penalty is for the first time. If it's repeated, it can be $2,000. In each instance, what can happen too for the citations, the $1,000 and the $2,000, is it can go to a hearing examiner who can mitigate that. And mitigating in the case of the hearing examiner can mean either a monetary reduction or the club can actually pay that fine by way of construction work, meaning sound attenuation, sound reducing work that will help for the future. It can do it that way too. I have to say at this moment there has not been an occasion where we've been able to actually be at one of your homes when this noise has been occurring to the point where we can take a measurement that exceeds 65 decibels. And that's not to do with the fact that the club hasn't exceeded 65 decibels. That I can't say one way or the other. All I can really say is at this moment, that's the way that the permit is, the code is written, and that's what we've been able to pick up so far. That's what I've got so far.
I would add to that that the City Council is currently reviewing the effectiveness of the nightlife ordinances, the nightlife statute. I think it's been in effect since 2007 is when it came into effect. There's been, I think, 3 warnings issued citywide and not 1 citation. So if you wish to talk to your council about whether or not you think it's effective, that's between you and the council, but I wanted to let that in.
Anything else on noise?
Is there a different level that's allowable in residential areas versus, say, like the Soto area? It's all the same.
Yes, there's one noise code for the whole of the city.
Okay.
That kicks in for amplified nighttime noise,
Okay.
and that kicks in at 10 o'clock at night, and that's it.
Okay.
There's other noise codes that aren't related to nightlife that affect the zones, residential, commercial, industrial.
Okay.
But that is, the specific one to nightlife takes effect because of case law.
Okay, thank you. So we'll get through our guests and then we'll open it up for questions. Officer Stitt, is that the correct way to address you?
Yes.
Would you like to give an update on what's been going on?
With respect to.
To the nightclub that we were having a discussion about.
Okay, well, yes, of course.
And maybe other nightclubs as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
anything
Waid's, we're in the process of a couple of cases that are being adjudicated.
I'm gonna cover a lot of legal stuff.
Okay.
Let me jump in with that. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Maybe your explanation on like a mass violation.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna jump all the way back to 2009. In 2009, the city made an objection to the nightclub Waid's for multiple reasons. It made objections prior to that, but those weren't upheld by the Liquor Control Board. In 2009, the Liquor Control Board revoked Waid's liquor license for in relation to the objection made by the city. In 2010, Waid's nightclub, through the representatives, entered a settlement with Liquor Control Board that meant that if they had one public safety violation in the next 2 years from the settlement date, that they would, 24 months from the final of the settlement, they would have a 1-strike deal for a public safety violation. That was appealed by the city for quite some time. That final order wasn't entered until actually 2012, the summer of. And that's when the city withdrew its appeal due to the fact that it was dragging on and for legal reasons. So at that point, Waid's was issued its liquor license permanently at that point. And then in December of 2012, the city sent a letter to Alan Rathbun of the Liquor Control Board asking for a revocation based upon multiple public safety violations. Those multiple public safety violations included service to minors. It included drug sales taking place within the establishment. That you can go to Capitol Hill blog right now and you can actually see the objection letter that was from February, which is the next step. In February, the city objected to the renewal of Waid's liquor license and included the incidents that occurred from sale to minors and to controlled substances being sold inside the establishment. It included, and those hearings are now finally coming to fruition. We just had some a few weeks ago, and we don't have a decision on that. They'll probably, I think 60 days is the time they have in order to issue a decision on that. The first set of hearings had to do with minor service. And again, you can see on Capitol Hill blog what that situation is and what those allegations are. And the second ones that are going to take place in April have to do with controlled substances being sold inside. Now, Liquor Control Board only went forward on 3 of the allegations. Those 3 include one allegation that a security guard sold drugs to an undercover officer in the bathroom. The second one was that a bartender facilitated the sale of controlled substances to an undercover outside of police view, except for obviously the undercover. And lastly, a promoter for the club facilitated a drug deal at the club as well. There were several others that weren't taken forward, including several patron sales of drugs, which are harder for the Liquor Control Board to draw a nexus to the establishment. And those you can also see in the objection letter that's posted on the Capitol Hill blog. And now that's where we are. And the ship sailed a while ago, and the Attorney General's office is going forward with that. If Waid's wins those hearings, well, then they'll be issued their liquor license. I'll come back to that in a second. If they lose that hearing, then they can have possible appeal to Superior Court, and it's going to be up to the judge there whether or not they get a stay and get to continue operating their business.
Okay.
And then taking it back to currently, the city is also planning to object to the liquor license renewal because it's up again, it's up every year. And since the other one hasn't been addressed yet, the city's going to object again. These right here in front of me are the police reports for the last 3 years that are associated with Waid's through an Nexus. So I just brought that for a visual so everybody can see what we have here for the last 3 objections. So that's the legal proceeding situation. There's also a masked objection that was going forward in one of these hearings. And I'm not as familiar with that. I know that that's a training issue. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Can you explain to everybody what a masked violation is?
Yes. People that serve alcohol have to take training. And when, for instance, a bartender or a server, there's a difference between a bartender and a server. The bartender prepares drinks, a server might just deliver them. So a bartender delivers and prepares the drinks. There's a formal training program, it's called MAST, or Mandatory Alcohol Service Training. And in a recent visit to the business, we contacted a bartender who was working, and he had been contacted there before and had worked there for some time. And he didn't have this training or documentation of this training. And we looked to see if he had it. We had no evidence that he had that training, and so a violation was written for that.
And to be clear, a mass violation is not a public safety violation, so that doesn't qualify for a revocation or termination under the settlement agreement that Waid's entered at the previous objection. But I think there was one of those going forward, and there might be another one that's out there pending. Is that right?
There's another one out there pending, yes.
So that's the legal waters that it's currently in, to my understanding.
Now, can I cover, sorry.
Yeah,
Is this
yeah,
Waid?
we had the gentleman back there first before you, and then you can go next.
I mean, this is really sad, and it's a travesty to the people of this community, the young people of the community. My uncle was City Councilman Sam Smith. He created an environment for all the people, but he also, dear to his heart, was minorities, and having outlets for them, where there was sports programs, where there was venues to, do shows and be entertained. I've taught school at SVI for 3 years. They cut the program after 3 years. The governor cut the budget. 5 or 6 of my students were murdered. And I had all the gangs, Crips, Bloods, BGDs, whatever they call them. They were all in my class, and they all got along because they had one common thing in mind. Waid's nightclub We took our students over there to showcase shows. They had an outlet to do things at. I've been a national producer. I've been on millions of copies of records. I've been all over the country, and I see this problem all over the place. And I'm getting fed up with it. Waid is a good guy. I've been to Belltown. I've been to Pioneer Square. I've been to clubs all over this state. I see drugs being sold in all the clubs. The owner can only do so much. He can't micromanage everything. This guy, Waid, is a great guy. And he should be applauded and not scrutinized. You can put a city attorney, you could put a stack of stuff on every club in Seattle like that if you scrutinize them. Decibels, you can go to any club in Belltown and Pioneer Square, because I understand decibels, I produce records. The same decibels will be in any of those nightclubs.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that we serve minors, but what you didn't tell people is that it's not that we had minors, people underage coming to the place, and then the security checked them, and then they walk in, and then we serve them. What happened is SPD did a sting operation. They provided ID to people who are who are underage, and those IDs says they were 27, 28, 29 years old. The security checked those IDs. They are of age. That same night, they went to 6 different places throughout Seattle. Only one place they didn't get in. So it's not that we serve minors. It's just SPD did something that is not fair. It's entrapment. You give right idea and then you let these people in. This is what happened.
Then we got, who was first? I'm gonna just, if you guys will, the lady in the red, and then, is it try? I tried to do 3 people, so I can, then you, and then Mr. Chair.
So I have myself worked in the service industry, and I don't have formal experience, formal training for bartending. Most of my colleagues don't. Most bars do not have people who actually get training to serve alcohol. If it's something that's a policy that needs to be enforced, then I think that not one club or one bar should be penalized for that, or spotlight should not be on one place. That should be stopping this address over the city, and not just attack one particular bar for that.
Thank you. And then try again. You're gonna pass it? Okay.
Yes, my name is Omari Tahir, and I was the former owner of the Emerald Star Club on 12th and Jackson. We had no incidents, and we couldn't even get a banquet license. We had no incidents. We was new in the club business. We fell into the club being the contractor on the club and ended up with the lease because the guy hadn't signed his lease, so we had to sign our lease to protect our money. At the same time, the Washington State Liquor Board was buying liquor from apartheid South Africa. And when we had to wait till 2 hours before the event, had to go out in White Center where they didn't know us, and got a banquet license. We put it up on the wall. The Washington State Liquor Board came there and said, well, you don't have a liquor license, you can't have liquor down here. And I took him to the wall and showed him the liquor license. He snatched the license off the wall and wrote on it, issued in there.
What club was
the
that?
Emerald Star, the Black and Tan on 12th and Jackson.
Oh, wow.
They closed Liberty Bank. Liberty Bank wasn't selling liquor and have drugs. They closed Central Area Public Development Authority. They closed the African American Heritage Museum. They closed the Central Area School Council. None of these had infractions. They've closed Oscars. The government was going and getting drug salespeople and bringing them to Oscars and going in the bathroom and doing a drug deal. Oscar, they had to pay him $1 million. It's obvious that they're after this guy and they're after the Waid's Club because they don't want no black businesses in Seattle. They don't want black people in Seattle. It's called gentrification. And the Seattle police, I want to congratulate you for not killing unarmed black youth for the last 13 years. You're the only major police department in America that don't kill 1 or 2, 3, 4 unarmed African American youth and make some excuse. I want to congratulate you on that. But you have to stop killing our businesses, because businesses are what creates jobs for our kids to keep them out of the streets, so that the only equal opportunity employer is not the drug dealer.
Okay. You had your hand up for a while.
My name is Corvus Blackbird. I'm a community member in Seattle for about 10 years in the Central District. Waid's Club was the first place that I was introduced to Mojo Fest Peace Center and all the other community endeavors that I put myself into. I've been here for 10 years, and that place was a place that introduced a lot of people in the community to come perform their art, come do social events, not just for entertainment, but for things that were an action in the community. And this brother over here really pointed out, I know Waid's personally, I've been to Waid's. You have new people moving into some place and pushing people already there out. Colonialism, racism, gentrification. Somebody's complaining about noise in a community you just moved into. You have no history, no relevancy, no invested interest other than going home and not hearing noise other than the noise that you made. So I don't know who's in charge or who's here complaining, but I want whoever here is listening to know that lots of people began careers out of Waid's place. So you take Waid's out of the mind state, oh, okay, you just don't want us here. I know we're 7% of the population in the city, but get real, we're the first people on the planet. So, you know, figure that out for yourselves and stop trying to take our means of survival by making money like all y'all like.
Okay, so we had you and then I got him in the back, he was and then Chai. I think I did that in the right order, so go ahead.
My name's Carol, I live at the Jefferson. I have been to Waid's. At this time on Sunday nights, I choose to stay at a friend's house because I have to work on Monday. And you have a right to have a business. I have a right to have a business. You have to follow the law, okay? What scares me is the gunshots, the fights, which I've witnessed because you can't sleep through it. My walls vibrate. You cannot sleep through it. So I just go to the stairwell or to the deck and I watch. And then we call the police and the police come and I worry for them. Because the people leaving your club, and you can't argue that because we've watched them. We have cameras on the building. They leave your club, they go into the street, they shoot their guns, it hits our cars, they have weapons, they're gonna kill each other. How is that helping them?
How many police reports do you have of shootings?
Of shootings, I have no idea.
How many noise violations do you have in the last
Well, you cannot
3
just
years?
make a statement like that and saying that they're shooting, because if they were shooting.
If you go to the Capitol Hill blog right now, there's a list.
Of shooting.
And it can grow. Oh, I can send them.
That happens in Belltown and in Pioneer Square.
That's fine, that's fine. And I'd also like to state that my father's a musician and has been a musician in the city of Chicago for 50 years. I know all about the nightclub scene. My family's owned 3 nightclubs and sold them. And what I'm seeing going on is not okay.
But it happens in Pioneer Square and Belltown.
Well, okay, so
You're
we're
killing
gonna,
your people.
so I need to keep.
I don't kill nobody. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Hold on.
That's a racist statement. That's a racist.
Every liquor license in the G-Corp area is civilized minority. Come on now. Every liquor license.
That was a racist statement, though.
Okay, so.
I don't kill nobody. I've never killed nobody in my life.
Let's
just have a timeout, okay? All right. We really want to hear everybody's voice, and I'm going to speak really quickly. I hear you, the youth programs, that's what I did most of my life. Some of you know me, he knows me. Youth programs, I get that. And we're not here to really debate. They're underfunded, you know, I understand that. They're not supported. We're not really here to debate the validity or the necessity that we have more youth programs for youth with music. You know, I have a son that's a musician. I just want to say that we're here to talk about just kind of what the neighbors are experiencing, what you're experiencing. But the whole point that I want you to remember is I don't make a decision, and no one up there makes a decision on what's going on right now in the hearings. That's the court. So it's a done deal. I don't know. I think as we have this conversation, let's try to find a way as a community to move on and keep these kinds of things for youth. I 100% embrace.
Is that a Native American tribal court?
Yep, it is.
It's a
that too.
Native American tribal court that this is being settled in.
That's not something that's in my
Well, don't you think the
control.
Native Americans should have some say in their land?
Well, they.
The Europeans should talk
yeah.
about Europe?
They
Because when I'm in Europe, they're running Europe.
So
Europeans
they-
is running
Yes, I
Europe.
agree, but I'm not here to talk about that, but I agree, because we tried to do a program like that.
Yeah, well, get the Native American, let's take this to the Native American Tribal Court.
So-
We don't need to take it to no European settler
But I don't
court.
have, I'm the EastPAC chair, we're the board, I don't have the power to do that. All I can do is listen to you, and all I can do is try to improve the community as best I can. That's not me here, but I hear you. So, having said that, a few more minutes, I think it was you, and I apologize if I'm missing people out of order, but go ahead.
My name is Wesley Raymond, and I have been with Waid from the beginning. I worked for Waid. It gave me an opportunity to work for him as I was going to school. I am currently doing my BA in criminology. Got one more quarter to graduate. Because Waid gave me a chance to work for him and make some money. I have seen you come in there several times, but you and I have never had any problems as far as liquor license or whether or not I was valid or not, because I've never had issue with anybody at the liquor board or even the police while working there for doing my 6 years. All the issues that are going on in the neighborhood as far as the gunshots, the fights, we can only do so much. There's 4 businesses in the corner there. Those fights don't just come out of Waid's, even if they do. They're in public land. The sidewalk is public land. That becomes a police issue at that moment. If we get involved and one of our officers, security officers, gets shot, then the liability falls on Waid because the sidewalk there is public land. And that means anybody, any citizen of the state or city or wherever they come from has rights to be on that sidewalk for as long as they want. Even if they are committing a crime, we're not the police. I say I am not the police. I see it happen all the time down that stretch. However, we call the police when we see things like that happening. They come sometimes very quickly, sometimes they take times to come. However, the only thing we can do is keep our sidewalk clear when the club is over. And that has always happened for as long as I've worked for Waid. Then again, these fights, these gunshots, why should we put ourselves in danger for someone who is in public domain, public land, really, sidewalk? You can't really trespass someone from the sidewalk. There's no law against that. You can't have them move if they decide not to move. That's where the police comes. So when we sit here and say, Waid's place, it's putting that corner, well, it's to me, it's only has to do with the new building that's just up there today. That has been the main issue. They have had an issue with Waid's from the get-go. And now they still want to make it appear that every problem that ever happened in that corner comes from Waid's. While there's 4 other main restaurants in that corner that has been there forever.
And they stay open late too?
The thing is, we can only do so much at Waid's. We only have so much power in our hands to where we can tell someone to move and get out of here. And if they choose not to, what more can we do? We don't have the power to arrest. Well, I mean, we can place them in citizen arrest, but then what if we get shot if they have a weapon? We don't want to put ourselves in danger. Somebody can sit in the sidewalk and shoot 50 bullets if they want to. All we can do is make sure that they're not in our gates, which is the main gate there. Once that's closed, it really is up to that patron to decide whether he or she wants to go home and not get in trouble with the police. Because once you're out there, you becomes a police problem. And when they come, who they going to arrest? It's not me who's inside the gate. It's you who's at that sidewalk causing problems. You're the one's going to go to jail. All I've seen is the city has been trying to close this place down for as long as I have been working for Waid and doing my 6 years. I've seen the goods, I've seen the bad. That corner was even worse than it used to be. People get stabbed down the street, Waid's. People get fights at AM, PM, Waid's. People get fight at the recovery center parking lot, Waid's. Everything that happens in that corner, Waid's name is mentioned. This got to stop. This got to stop.
So I want to comment as, my name is Karin Johansson, by the way, and I wanted to comment as both a customer and event promoter for benefit events at various clubs around the city. And one of the things that I can first comment on as a customer is I have chosen to go to Waid's on some New Year's Eve specifically because I wanted a community vibe, someplace where I could go where there would not be a bunch of bad attitudes and really drunk people, and I got that. And when I left the club, I was not even able to hear anyone outside, and I saw no one lurking outside. In all my experiences going there, both for dining and for going out dancing and clubbing, I've never ever witnessed a problem outside. And the other thing I wanted to comment on was just his how he's a resource to the community. When I decided to do a benefit event for Livestrong, which was already also benefiting and promoting local cancer nonprofits like Gilda's and Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, I chose to go to Waid's because I knew that he had a long history of being supportive of the community, and he immediately jumped in and gave us the space for free and was more than gracious. And so to me, I understand that there have been complaints, but as someone who has been to a number of other events, or a number of other clubs in town, and seen much more questionable behavior at other places, it just makes me wonder why there's more attention on Waid's than there might be on some other places in town.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Chi Nguyen, and my family has owned the building next to Waid's. Waid's has been in business since 2006.
Yes.
My family has owned that building 30, 40 years. So there's no question that we're new people who've moved into the neighborhood and are trying to push people out, anything like that. And there's no question of racism on the part of the residents who can't sleep. We have 4 commercial spaces down at the bottom of our building, and they are all rented to black-owned businesses, except for one, which is owned to a Cuban American business. Our oldest tenant, resident rather, is African American, and our newest tenants are African American. So I reject this claim that there's some narrative of racism wanting to push Waid's out. That is certainly, to me, that's of no concern whatever. And as for Waid's character, I am sure it's unimpeachable. And I know that he's done good works. I know that he's hosted fundraising events, and he's done a lot for the community. And I know Waid's is a center for a certain community, and it's a great one, just as Hidmo was a center for their community, and the station currently is the center for like the hip hop music. So that's cool, and I love that.
Thank you so much.
And that is not an issue. Dude, that is not the issue. The issue is people cannot sleep, and people are afraid. They have like a sense of unease because 2, 4 o'clock in the morning when the thing lets out, and people are issuing out of Waid's, and they are screaming at the top of their voices obscenities of each other, and there are women being sexually molested or assaulted in the premises. And I'm reading that objection that the city of Seattle wrote to the Liquor Control Board, and they list a number of infractions, which people say, hey, it happens everywhere. Well, okay, maybe it happens everywhere, but it's happening next to a place where you've got young families living, you've got students trying to become law students or whatever, and they can't sleep, they can't, and they have to get up on Monday, right? And so I think that we need to move away from this idea that it's racially motivated. I'm sorry, no, it's not. Or the idea that, there's any disrespect toward Waid as a humanitarian, or as Waid as a center of the community that's done a lot of good. I'm all for that. If you guys can run a clean ship, continue on for 100 years, that's great. But it's been since, 2008, the city has been issuing these objections and so on, and given Waid a lot of chances to fix the problems. And it's 2014 now. That's a long time. That's a long time he's had chances.
Thank you. We're going to take three more questions because we only have 45 minutes in our meeting left. And so I'm going to let some of the others speak before. Is that okay? We have a gentleman there, and then you, and then in the back. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Ian Anderson, small business owner and also a part-time employee at Waid's that does have a liquor card and have had it for a while. Just in kind of response to some of this that's going on, to me, that entire block there, I don't think I would categorize it as a residential area. So we have, yes, your building, and I've actually rented from you and Linda, your mom, in the past. And you have your building there, but besides that, there's just this new building that's come in, and besides that, it's pretty much gas station, all businesses down 12th, and then the next block is...
East Barclay Court is full of
and there's a bunch of houses.
And that's pretty far away, though.
No, I've talked to everybody there, and more than 50% of the people are like, yes, every Sunday night, just stomp and bake.
So then the question would be...
It backs away, the Barclay Court backs away.
Oh, okay.
Is it like?
So it's in the back, the whole other block.
2 blocks away.
2 blocks away. So the question comes, I've worked there now for almost a year, every Sunday night, I believe. And maybe 1 or 2 times the police have come for a noise complaint. People are saying they've complained, but literally, I don't think, maybe once or twice we've gotten a noise complaint. And maybe you should address the police, but I don't see people coming to tell us to turn it down. And as being a club that's open till 2, the people, especially in the Jefferson, you moved in next to a club that's open till 2 and is gonna have music until 2. That's the law, it's allowed to. So I don't understand how you can try to argue against this when, A, it's not in the very close vicinity of anything except for those 2 places, and I guess this that's behind 2 blocks away. And then on top of that, the music's stopping around 2, 3 in the morning, which is totally legal as long as there's no drinking after 2. And again, the police haven't come telling us to turn it down. So maybe you should address what we're actually doing wrong, and then we could look at that and try to change it if something was wrong.
Okay, so we have, you and then the gentleman.
Yeah, hi, my name is Brendan, and I frequent Waid's a lot. One of the things I want to share with everybody, first of all, is most of the African community is a place where pretty much they go to kind of relax and get everything going, to kind of unwind when pretty much they've had their day or their week going. Now, you said something about, first of all, it being noisy, and the lady also talked about noise. And it kind of takes me aback because it's just phenomenal. If you're sleeping in the house and you're expecting to hear noise, anything that pretty much happens, the noise has started, let me jump and see, it's Waid's again. And I'm pretty much sure at times, you can even get up, probably on Monday or Tuesday, and it's Waid's again, it's the noise. So it's something that it could some people get paranoid about it, and it's Waid's, it's Waid's, it's Waid's. You're living in a city, downtown. It's an urban area. You don't expect it to kind of be like the suburb right there. First of all, have that in mind. It's a business environment all around. It's his business. His business operates when? During the night. You want to shut him down in a business area so that he could move where? To the suburb? Some Amish? Doesn't make sense. You're in the city, downtown. Think about it. Thank you.
My name is Leith Yasinowski Call, and I want to add my voice to the support of Wade's. I've lived in the neighborhood for 10 years. I live fairly close at 15th and Spruce. And I eat Wade's. Food is really good. Usually have 1 or 2 drinks. I happened to eat there last night. Usually eat there 1 or 2 times a month. Last night I had the saltfish. I really recommend that.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
What about the plantains?
And plantains are good too. I really like the atmosphere in Wade's. I find it very mellow. I've been there pretty much every day of the week. I've always found it pretty mellow, whether it was busy or not. I really like the picture they have on the wall of the goddess Erzuli. She has a sister from my grandmother's homeland in Poland. This is Our Lady of Zestashwa, a sister to the Haitian goddess Erzuli, brought there by Poles who were kidnapped by a guy named Napoleon and joined Toussaint Louverture in the liberation of Haiti. So just want to say that I like Wade's, and what's at stake here, whether you want to call it racial or whether you don't, is not only whether or not the only Haitian restaurant and bar in the Central District is going to be allowed to continue to operate, but also at this point, whether the last black bar and restaurant in the Central District is going to be able to operate. If you want to say it's not racial, then show me where else in the Central District there remains a black restaurant and bar. I don't see one. Dino's is closed. Oscar's is closed. If it's not racial, then why aren't black people allowed to do business in the CD? I can't stop people from being paranoid, neither can the police, neither can Wade.
Yes.
But what I want to speak against is the myth that there's anything Wade can do, no matter how much he tries, to stop the campaign against Wade's. The campaign against Wade's is going to move forward. Some people may have racial reasons for moving it forward. Others just may be interested in the land and the business opportunity there.
Absolutely.
And see a vulnerable dog that maybe can be taken out of the competition. But benefiting from racism, even if it's your major motivation, doesn't make your actions any less racist. But certainly when you bring people in your coalition to the meeting who look at a black stranger at the meeting for the first time and say you're killing your own people, it shows how your coalition is being built against Wade's, and Wade can't help that.
Absolutely.
Wade will be under attack just for being a Haitian guy operating a bar in the CD, no matter what he does. So I'm going to continue to patronize this restaurant. And if there's any city employees in here, I think there might be a few. After this meeting, I'm going over to Wade's. If you come to my table, talk to me, your first round is on me.
So thank you for everyone for coming and interest. Okay, really, 2 minutes, I know, really quick, because we do have to move on.
Really quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay. Everybody, this is simply a noise issue. I worked with the people in Barclay Court for almost over 10 years. I've lived in the Central District since '86, so I'm not a newcomer. I live at 17th and Marion. I live in the neighborhood. I watched Vicky's Street, which was old people, young people, black people, white people, everybody, on East Barclay Court, which is across the alley from Wade's, not 2 blocks. I worked there for over 10 years with the police department as the crime prevention coordinator. I had people from, there were 2 old ladies in your building, they called me and said, they ruined my life. They could never sleep. This is simply a noise issue. On East Barclay Court, there's only 1 person left, and that is Vicky Beach, who is also black. She's the only one left. I watched that street house by house by house as people sold their homes and left. Now, all Wade had to do was soundproof his building or turn it down. But a lot of times, police would be called, they would turn the thing down, and then he would turn it up. Vicki would call me at 1 in the morning. I came from my house down to East Barclay Court. This is only an issue about the control of noise. Wade is more than welcome to run his business, but not to deprive people, the people in the Mohawk, the people on East Barclay Court. There's only 1 homeowner left on that street, and that is Vicky Beach. The only one. They were all driven out.
So if you had your grandmother or your cousin or you would not want them to say, I can't live. And it is simply an issue of noise, not against his business. Apparently a lot of people like it. That's not the issue. I mean, as you said, it's simply the city's inability to craft a decent noise ordinance that's enforceable.
So if there's no noise ordinance that says
The
you can't have the
noise ordinance is difficult to enforce, as you
Okay.
heard.
So it's not against the law to be noisy,
The city council has let Vicky Beach down.
right? It's not against the law to
No,
be
it
noisy.
isn't.
Because
But
the
I-
police don't come and tell us
Let
to
me
turn it down.
finish, please. I let you finish.
I just
Let me
wonder.
finish. Thank you.
That's all.
The city council has not Department of Planning and Construction let Vicky down. Police department let Vicky down because restriction, you can only do so much. Everybody left the people in East Berkeley. I watched it for over 10 years. All I'm saying is I live at 17th and Marion. I am not a newcomer. My son went to Garfield. You can't say I'm just telling you, it is only, I'm glad you were there and worked there, but it is only
6 years, it
a
allowed me
way-
to go to school and become what I am
Yeah,
today.
that's wonderful, but also, all the people on that street sold their homes and left. That's all it is.
Because of
What he's doing is not
Because
against
of
the
Wade?
law.
Because
It's not against the law.
of Wade is what you're saying?
So I got people doing this,
So you're saying, see, I'm using it.
So, okay, so, it's clear.
The solution is to bring the Native Americans, the Duwamish tribe, back to their area, and all the people that came from somewhere else to go back where they came from.
I hear you, so let's do more Native American art, that's what I like to do.
We don't see no Duwamish people here complaining.
So.
Go back to Europe.
It's clear that you all here are really passionate about support for youth, the food, the programs that you're doing, the opportunities you're given, and that's very cool. So how do we, but like I said, the ship has left the dock, or how did you put that? The train has left the station?
No, the ship has left the dock back to Europe.
I know, and that's not something I could change. Hey,
I'm getting on it.
That's already in the system, okay? So we're here to try to find a way just to communicate as neighbors, and maybe someday Miss Andrea, sitting there, standing up right there, would like to do a restorative circle with this group, because everybody's so passionate. But if you signed up on the, and that's a Native American thing, if you signed up on the sheet,
Yay!
well, I'll send out an email if we want to do that, so as a community, we can heal, because I think that's what we need.
Right.
So, yeah, I got.
Not to put another black business out of business.
I got these guys looking at me.
May
I
I
got
answer to, because
really,
very fast.
quick, okay.
Hi. She mentioned that all I had to do was to soundproof the place. The reason why I get to run the place still as a club is because I did soundproof the whole place. I spent more than $80,000. I took a loan from my house to soundproof the whole place. All the walls that you see is double walls. Even the roof, the whole place is soundproof. The reason why you cannot hear, the reason why we never get a citation for noise is because the place is soundproof. It's not music coming out that is noisy. What I think people are complaining about, it is at the end of the night, and I have different genre of music that we play at Wade's from Monday to Sunday. The only night we get complaint is when it's reggae night, when most of my clientele is black. This is why I keep bringing the race thing. And I understand it's not a race issue, but how come when I have Russian night, when I have any other night, Tuesday through Saturday, no complaint. The only night that we have complaint is where there's a lot of black people living in the area. People are saying that they're afraid. Some people even mention prostitution. I'm like, how do you know there's prostitution? Do you solicit sex out there? They say shootings. How many shootings? There's, whatever happens in that area, they put it on me. That's not fair.
It becomes a police issue. That's what the public don't understand.
We need to move on, okay? So the next thing that we.
What does the police have to say in this? Do they have anything to say?
Well, they gotta wait till you guys are not, we're done with the rates thing, okay? So let me move my meeting, because I always get in trouble for going too long. So, are there any other community issues? Anything else out there? Is there anything else out there?
Yeah. Liberty Bank Historical Site Designation nomination. You should all come because it's not a nightclub, it's a bank, and we need our bank back. The newspaper said the black community needs their bank back, and the reason why they closed and seized the black bank because they was opening up a branch on 3rd Avenue in the old Rhodes building. That's ridiculous.
We're gonna do something with that place. We've already been talking about it, so
Okay.
we'll talk more about it. Okay.
Thank you, your
Anything
love.
else? Anybody
I
live?
need to apologize.
How, oh, okay.
Please,
Just
let me apologize.
Really?
The last thing I wanna be
You
is a
got
racist.
like 10 seconds. Yeah.
He's trying to say it's a black thing, and I was asked not
No, let me tell you something. You addressed me. My dad was murdered by somebody. So you addressed me. I never murdered no one.
We can talk, but I don't want anybody to die.
We hear you. Let's just, okay, we need to.
It's not even, I don't care what color you are. I don't want you
Yeah, we
to
need to
go to it.
Okay, so do you,
I'm sorry, I'm white.
so,
That's all right. We're all white-minded. That's why we all speak English. It's a white language.
so, I'm gonna, ma'am.
That's why we haven't started seizing land yet.
Other than the conversation we've already had, which is about the Wade's restaurant in the community that you're concerned about. I know you come to our meetings a lot, and I appreciate that. What else is there?
I don't like to be addressed like I come to your meetings a lot. I was born and raised in Seattle.
You come to
So my name is Queen Pearl, and there's really not too much I don't know and understand when you talk about race, color, creed, denomination, anomination, abomination, or whatever you want to say about a nation that is divided right now. Okay, that's what you need to talk about when you discuss a person that is in this community at all. The Central District where I was raised. I don't live in the Central District right now, but my heart will always be there because that's where I was raised. And so whenever I see somebody that's a non-European coming on TV and saying to the world that we're being ousted out of something, and where I come from, a series of oustedness, okay, then we really need to get down to the nitty-gritty about really what's going on here in Seattle, Washington, okay? It's not just about you. It's something that's happening all across the country about people that look like me, okay? That's why you see me at meetings, okay? That's why you see me speaking out, okay? I'm not faulting you for anything, but I said, oh, no, Hey, even if the door shut in my face, I'm showing up.
No, and you're there always really eloquent, that's what I like.
Did you want to get a list? I don't know how to spell your name. O-M-A-R-I. Yes, T-A-H-I-R.
Give the police a chance.
Thank you.
I'm going to, it's their turn now.
Okay.
I'll let them
You
talk.
ready?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna speak briefly. Obviously, this is a charged topic. I can see that, obviously, that's been going on for quite some time, and we can see that as well. I can only attest to what we have as far as was placed before you in those books, which is evidence in itself, and the only thing I can add is we need to let the process take its course. Now, if they see force as to basically grant this gentleman his liquor license, and so be it. But we're talking about not noise, we're not talking about any other issues other than the criminal activity that happens around the establishment, in the establishment, that basically affects the quality of life for all the residents. That's what it is. And again, like I prefaced when I came in the beginning, it's about a partnership. The community, police officers, part of the community, the business community, business community with the neighbors. That's what it's about. It's not to throw studs back and forth at each other, to see who's better and who's getting pushed out and who's doing what. It's about how we can basically commingle, live together and get a true understanding of what everybody needs for this individual to have this business and have it thrive, for the community to have a nice livelihood there that's free from all the other things that's obviously stated in these books. That's what it's about. Sir?
I'm confused. I'm getting two different information here. I'm hearing it's not about the noise, but I'm hearing it's about the noise, and you work for the court.
Okay,
And you are the
break it
police.
down.
About the
Let's break it
police
down.
chief.
Okay,
So what
this
is
what I'm
this?
saying. Criminal activity, okay? That can encompass noise. It can encompass all the drug dealing that's going on. Criminal activity. The police don't show up and do things just because people are out there acting nice and doing things that they're supposed to be doing.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Don't say
Say
that.
that loud. Say that loud. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Don't say that.
In a